Welcome in. This is the Niner Narrative Podcast. I am China Boy. I'm your host, and this is going to be, I think, the official first episode. I've done like 2 or 3 recordings, and I keep saying it's the first episode, but I don't really like those recordings, so I'm not going to post them. So first and foremost, I just wanted to say thank you to all the people that have put me in a position to do a podcast. I've been considering it for a couple of years now. Just finally kind of doing it. I wanted to start a few weeks ago, but I literally just moved across the country and got settled into my house earlier this month. So this is kind of the first I've been able to get all this stuff set up and put together. We will be going live with the coach tomorrow. That's going to be fantastic. And I will also be doing shows every week, a couple of times a week, posting videos, and hopefully this goes somewhere. So the whole kind of concept for this show is bringing context to the conversation. It's about trying to fill in some of the gaps. There's some things with advanced metrics that get kind of confusing. There's things with salary cap that get confusing. There's things with the narratives where there's information that kind of gets lost and found. And we just want to kind of try to help bring some clarity to those things and bring a little bit of context to some of these things. So that's what we intend to do here. We hope to make it fun. So what we're going to do in this episode is a brief recap. I had recorded a couple of episodes about the preseason games, and it kind of just didn't feel authentic because I recorded them after like other games have already played. And so there was information that I had that I wouldn't have had I been doing it before the games and so on and so forth. So we're just going to make this the first episode. We're going to do a little bit of a kind of stock down for this preseason. And then we're going to go straight into a roster projection, give some thoughts on that. Anyway, so it should be a lot of fun. I hope everybody stays. Please, you know what we need. It's YouTube. We need like, subscribe. We need you to do all those things for us so that we can try to grow this channel. So without further ado, let's get into it. I'm going to start where every football team starts, and that's with the quarterback, Brock Purdy. I am a Brock Purdy guy since day one. After last season, I was very concerned because Brock Purdy showed some real chinks in the armor. I am less concerned about the issues that he had in situational football, throwing interceptions late, literally costing us games with poor play in critical situations. That's less of a concern to me than the fact that throughout the season, he consistently missed the plays that were there, whether it was hitting a guy that's open, which he did consistently in the first 25 games of his career, whether it's missing an obvious read, whether it's forcing a ball into coverage instead of just taking the open throw. To be a high-level quarterback in the NFL, you don't have to not only do you have to do things special, out of the pocket, make a crazy throw, make a, skip 1 and 2 in your read, go straight to third, pick up a blitz or set up, read out the defense, see the safeties missed and throw something over the top, all sorts of special things that quarterbacks do. Excuse me. But the most important thing that a quarterback does is consistently do the thing that they're supposed to do, which is put the ball where it's supposed to go. I know that seems like I'm being unnecessarily or I'm being too basic with it, too simple with it. But at the end of the day, the best quarterbacks are the ones who consistently make the play that's there to be made. The thing that separates a journeyman quarterback from a high-level starter, the journeyman quarterback can make the cool plays, but doesn't consistently make the regular plays. A high-level starting quarterback in the NFL has to be able to consistently make the regular play. They have to make the routine play look routine. They can't make routine plays look hard. That's what backup quarterbacks do. Elite quarterbacks make the routine plays look routine and then also do spectacular things and carry a team. That's what elite quarterbacks do. Brock's not there. Will he get there? Remains to be seen. There are some skill sets that he has that means he has a chance to eventually develop in the next couple of years into an elite quarterback, a la a Drew Brees type. You could even say like a Matt Ryan type or a Phillip Rivers type. Like when they were at the peak of their powers, I would say they probably were like elite quarterbacks. Though you probably push back on both of those. Ryan did win an MVP with Shanahan, so whether or not you'd consider those guys elite quarterbacks, I don't know. But in that realm of high level, clearly top 6, top 8 quarterback in the NFL, Brock Purdy has that ability. He's not there yet. He was on track, got derailed by the Ravens, which is probably still haunting him. Played a couple of bad games, played really well in the playoffs, then came out last year and played really poorly in many games throughout the season. At the end of the day, the thing that matters with Brock Purdy this season is that he gets back to just doing the routine things correctly. Don't miss open guys. Don't miss open reads. Don't force a ball into double coverage when there's a guy wide open underneath when that's 2nd and 11. He did that last year. It cost us a game against, I think, the Rams. So can he just look at last season, look at the mistakes he made? Can he correct them and just be the efficient quarterback who makes the routine play look routine, and then occasionally gives us a little something special with his escapability? That quarterback has elite potential, but whether or not he'll ever get there remains to be seen. So moving on. There are 3 reasons specifically I think the 49ers lost last season. I think that the run game, defensively, stopping the run was horrendous. It cost us the ability to control a game, which is how we've won so many games over the last 7-8 years since Kyle Shanahan's been here. It made our defense gassed late in games. We consistently gave up fourth quarter leads. We probably lost more games last year than we won when we had a lead in the fourth quarter, or going into the fourth quarter, which is strange. I don't know that for sure. I'd have to look that up. I don't want to look that up right now. Nah, we'll do it another time. So either way, I think it's pretty clear the 49ers gave up too many games late last year, whether it was Brock Purdy throwing picks, special teams malfunctions, defense's gas, can't get off the field. It doesn't matter. Run game was terrible. Reason number 2, the 49ers played poorly last year, bad situational football, and that starts with Brock. Brock didn't play well enough in situational football. He pressed late in games when it got close, made bad decisions, threw interceptions. We didn't execute well in 3rd and middle. We didn't execute well in defense on 3rd and middle or 3rd and short. It seemed like every time somebody was at 3rd and 8, it was going to be a free first down. They just couldn't get off the field. It was wild. 49ers could not get off the field on 3rd down last year. Red zone, not good on either side of the ball. If you compile those 2 things with the 3rd factor that I think, and if you realize, I haven't said anything about injuries yet. I don't want to hear the excuses about injuries. Injuries happen to every team in football. Every team. You have to have a team. It's football. The injury rate is 100%. Every team gets hurt. You have to have a team that's built to weather the storm when you have injuries, which are inevitable. Obviously, teams cannot overcome. If the Chiefs lost Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, and Chris Jones, like they're not going to be a playoff or a Super Bowl team, right? Like they're probably not even going to make the playoffs. Obviously, there's certain players that matter more than others, but injuries happen, and so I don't want to hear the excuses about the injuries. Did they play a factor last year into the record? Of course they did. I would argue that the Charvarius Ward being totally checked out all year. Trent Williams going through what he went through. Ricky Pearsall going what he went through. And I'm talking about getting shot, not the injuries. So many players on this team having so much adversity. There was just, I hate to phrase it this way, but there's just such a bad vibe all year long. So many players were not focused on football. And you compile that with injuries and you get a season like you had. But injuries are like the 5th or 6th reason why we lost so many games last year. Getting back to reason number 3 was special teams. Special teams did not do a good enough job. And I'm not talking about kicking field goals. Obviously, we lost like 2 games because we missed critical field goals. but punt coverage, kickoff coverage, punt return, kickoff return. I think outside of like Debo, like, did we have any success in special teams last year? So I just think that the special teams can't cost you games. It's okay if your special teams doesn't win you games. It is a huge benefit. It is an absolute legacy is the right word. Or I'm sorry, the wrong word. It's a real boost for your team if your special teams can win you a game or two, but it has to not lose you games. I think it lost us at least 2 or 3 games last year. So, with all that said, I think potentially all 3 issues are fixed this season, which is why I'm so high on the 49ers this year. I've gotten quite a bit of pushbacks from some of my buddies in the 49ers community about my season projection of 13 wins. And the reason for that is the reason I have such a high projection is this team is a playoff caliber team. There are not very many teams in the NFL that have, 5, 6 players that are either first ballot Hall of Famers or potential Hall of Famers who are currently top 3 at the position. And a couple of them, I mean, Fred Warner, best linebacker in football. George Kittle, best tight end in football. Trenton Williams, top 3, top 4 left tackle in football still. Christian McCaffrey, top 2, top 3 running back. Nick Bosa, top 2, top 3 edge guy. Like the roster is littered with superstar players still. You infuse energy into that roster. You bring in young guys who can really play. I think that this season is going to hinge on whether or not the rookies that we brought in on the defensive side of the ball, first, second, and fourth round, Mikael Williams, Alfred Collins, and CJ West, if they do what they were drafted to do and shore up the run defense, we will have a top 10 defense. Robert Saleh is that good as a defensive coordinator. He'll get the young guys on the right page and on the same page with the other players around them very quickly. We brought in speed that we did not have last year. Our defense was slow. And we're bringing in we're bringing back the swarm youth, just all gas, no brakes mentality of just a run and hit defense that other teams are not going to have fun playing against. And so I think that gives us a huge boost. I think Brock Purdy will rebound from last year. He'll learn from his mistakes and he'll play better and he'll get back to playing really efficient football and just being Kyle Shanahan's little joystick out there on the field. And I think special teams will be much better. I'm not sure that I'm ready to say special teams might actually win us a game this year, but I don't think that special teams is going to lose us games this year, with the exception of Moody missing a kick late. Clearly, Moody is totally untrustworthy. He has a ton of talent, but whenever he goes out there, you have no idea if he's going to miss it. I don't trust him to make a PAT, and that is nonsense. That's wild. That you don't trust your kicker to make an extra point. It's insanity. But I digress. So that's kind of where we were. It's kind of where we're going. I want to get into the roster projections fairly quickly. Before I do, I want to point out a couple of things from the preseason. One, our starters that did play all looked good. I don't think there's a single starter who played that was like, ew, that's not good. I hope somebody beats him out because it doesn't look good. This season, I'm super high on Ricky Pearsall. I think Ricky Pearsall is going to be the 49ers' number 1 receiver, whether Brandon Ayuk comes back or not, whether Demarcus Robinson gets the games peeled back because of his appeal. I have no idea about any of that. It's not going to be Juwan Jennings. It's not going to be one of the young guys. Ricky Pearsall will be the number 1 player on this offense this season. Player, not just wide receiver. He's going to have 1,200 to 1,400 yards if he stays healthy. He's going to get a ton of targets. And it's not because he is so exceptional. It's because his fit in this offense is exceptional. The one thing that you have to be able to do at an elite level on this offense is to get open on time. Kyle Shanahan expects you to be where you're supposed to be, when you're supposed to be there, and be open when you get there. That's why it's so hard, because it's really difficult. Pearsall struggles against press man, but in almost every other situation, Ricky Pearsall is open on time regularly. consistently. You can depend on him to be where he's supposed to be, when he's supposed to be there, and open at the right time. That's a critical skill that's not common. Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, those kind of guys have the similar skill set. Okay. This offense this offense takes advantage of those types of wide receivers. Now, obviously, I just said that there's a fatal flaw earlier in press man coverage. That's easily solvable. You move him around and you get him free releases using scheme, which Kyle Shanahan absolutely will do. The X wide receiver, whoever it is, Brandon Ayuk, Jennings, whoever, they will stay out there. They will be static to the field side, and then they will move Ricky Pearsall and Juwan Jennings all over the field whenever Juwan Jennings is not playing that position. So Ricky Pearsall, huge stock up, a little banged up in the preseason. I think a lot of that was a little overblown, although I'm really concerned with how long he was out with that hamstring. But because they said it was minor, but he was out like 3 months. That's not a minor pull. A minor pull, you're out like 3 weeks, not 3 months. So that's an issue. I do think they held him out a few times for just to being cautious, just sort of semi-bubble wrapping him. So I think he's going to be going into the season healthy. I think he's going to be going into the season with all the confidence in the world. He played really well in the preseason. And I think Ricky Pearsall will be having a breakout season this season. On the defense side of the ball, my breakout candidate is D. Winters. When you look at the track record with linebackers in this system, early on in this system, Dre Greenlaw and Aziz Al-Shaair both struggled to hit the target points. They both struggled to hit the angles. They both struggled to wrap when they got there because they're just always getting there a split second late. They always struggled to not allow leaky yardage. Both of them developed into top-tier, high-end starters in the NFL. And you look at a guy like D. Winters started the same way. The way that they asked their linebackers to play, you're expected to run and hit, but you're expected to read it first and then trigger and run and hit and use all that athleticism. It takes some time to get there. I'll get to Nick Martin in a minute because there's one thing I'm really excited about with Nick Martin. But for D. Winters, his first season, he was doing exactly the same stuff. His second season, he was still doing it some, but it had improved, but he couldn't get any reps because why we had Campbell on this team last year, I don't know, but I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. D. Winters didn't get enough reps last year. He should have got way more. When he did get reps, he got better. This entire offseason, he's gotten better and better. He had a tremendous offseason last year, according to Fred Warner. And so I think D. Winters is poised for a breakout season. And this preseason and offseason has not done anything to deter me from that opinion. I think people forget that just a few years ago, he led a TCU team to the national championship. And that team got to the national championship writing their defense, and the leader of that defense, the focal point of that defense, was D. Winters. What has that defense been, and what has that team been since that year? It matters what happens after players leave. I think D. Winters is a stud. I think he's been a stud. He just needed the reps. It took him a while. I think he's got it now. He's triggering so quickly, and that is a problem for the teams we're going to play. Because if he is good, him and Fred Warner next to each other with a defensive line that can actually hold up against a block, that can actually maintain the spacing, it really could bode very, very well for this 49ers defense. Nick Martin has the same issues. The incredible thing about Nick Martin is instead of it taking him all season, he seems to have figured it out in 3 games. He seems to have figured out the pace, the space, the angles, and all those things in literally like 2 weeks. From his first game to his third game, it was totally different speed, how he was triggering, the angles he's taking, the wraps, the hits. He's now hitting and driving through guys instead of getting there a split second late and having to try to arm tackle somebody. It's incredible the amount of progress he's made in only a couple of weeks and only a couple of games. And if it continues, he will probably replace D. Winters, and D. Winters will become the third linebacker. I don't know if that'll happen this year. It may be next year, but I'm really excited for how quickly Nick Martin got his head wrapped around how to play linebacker in this league. So I'm really, really excited for that. But I think my breakout candidate on defense is still D Winters, though Malik Mustafa would have been had he not been injured. Okay, so moving on. The 49ers started to play well. The backups didn't. At the end of the day, what this really means is we have no depth. If we have a few key injuries, this season is tanked. I will be doing another video in the next couple of days where I list out the 5 players that are, if we lose any of these 5 players, season's over. I will have another video coming out soon where we sort of break down what are the critical positions as far as which positions just can't handle too much attrition, because the top guys are good. Take cornerback, for instance. Renardo Green, Upton Stout, and Deommodore Lenoir, probably your starting 3. They all seem to be really good. Renardo Green seems to have rebounded from a little bit of a shaky early offseason. Deommodore Lenoir is just a stud. Stop it. And it looks like Upton Stout's the real deal in the slot. We'll see. He'll have some rookie moments, but he could be really good, and he could be a real playmaker for us. Beyond that, I'm not sure the cornerback depth is much good. We'll get into this more when I do my actual roster projection. But cornerback scares me. That's one of the areas where I just feel like we have no depth. If the starters start to go down, as they do in football, it's going to be a long year. So it's really important that we remember the last piece of this whole puzzle. The reason I projected the 49ers to go 13 and 4 now, they're 17 games. It's not because I think the 49ers are some juggernaut team. It's because I think the 49ers are a legitimate playoff team with Hall of Famers everywhere, a bunch of young studs, and the weakest schedule in like 15 years. We play like 5 teams this year that might go to the playoffs, like 2 or 3 that should. And the rest of our schedule are teams that are not playoff teams. If you're a playoff team with that much talent and you play 12 of your 17 games against teams that are not playoff contenders, you should win all 12. Maybe lose 1. And then the other 5 games, you should win at least 1 or 2 of those, right? If you're a legitimate playoff team. So I just, a 10-win season this year, to me, Kyle Shanahan has to go. You're just not getting it done. You're not able to take a team that has some of the same problems that every other team in the NFL has, injury concerns. You built this roster. You didn't build enough depth. You didn't get the job done. You got to go. We got to hand this over to somebody else, and we got to take this team in a new direction while we still have enough talent to make one last run for a championship. So I'll do another whole breakdown as far as Kyle Shanahan. I don't want to get too far into the weeds on the coaching staff right now. I do think the coaching staff is tremendous. And that's why a tremendous coaching staff with a ton of high-end talent and the softest schedule in football should be at least 11 or 12 wins. If we lose 7 games this year, against who? That means we got crushed by our own division. That means we went like 2-4 in our division, probably. That's not good enough. Anyway, so I don't want to get too far down that rabbit hole. Let's move on. So, official rosters are coming out, and it's really important to kind of do a roster projection, in my opinion, because I think it's really important if you're going to create content to kind of have some things that you have on record as far as where you stand. Not because you're trying to be right all the time, and not because you're trying to show how smart you are, any of that nonsense. The reason is because I think it's important for your viewers to be able to see over time as you change your mind what things are influencing the decisions you're making, so that people can follow you. People can see the train of thought. Uh-oh, my dogs are going crazy. Hope everything's okay. They're settled. We're good. Sorry about that. I think it's really important for your viewers to be able to follow your train of thought, your line of logic, and see how you're processing this information over time. So you have to put some things on the record. That's why I think things like roster projections are very important. So we'll start with the offense. Brock Purdy, Mac Jones. There's no suspense here. I don't think they'll keep a third quarterback on the 53. They'll try to get either Bradley or Tanner Mordecai to the practice squad. Don't be surprised here if the third quarterback for this season, the emergency quarterback, is not on the team right now. Don't be surprised if we go pick somebody up from another team after cuts and they're the third quarterback, because if we end up with Connor Bradley or Tanner Mordecai playing any snaps this year, we are in trouble, period. The running back room, I think this one's pretty clear cut, although there's a couple of things that could go separately. So McCaffrey, I don't know where Grendo's at with his shoulder injury. I think he may have gone in IR recently. Let me actually just double check this real quick. So I'm not too sure. I know that Corey Kiner went on IR. But nope, he was not placed on the IR list. Okay, so I've got McCaffrey, Garendo, Brian Robinson Jr., and Jordan James. Did Jordan James go on the IR list? I probably should have checked this out beforehand. So okay, so he didn't go either. So the running back room is going to be McCaffrey, Garendo, Robinson Jr., and Jordan James. I do think that and of course Juice, the fullback. So that'll be 5 running backs. Now I do think that Jeff Wilson Jr. will be added back on after some things get moved around. Now, whether that's, you could put Garendo, if his shoulder's an issue, you could put him on short-term IR, and then you bring back Jeff Wilson, so on and so forth. So I think they'll be able to bring him back. But it's going to basically be the McCaffrey show with some spelling by Brian Robinson Jr., unless there are injuries, which we know there will be. So wide receivers, this one also I think pretty clear cut. Pearsall, Jennings, Ayuk, those are your 3 top guys. Robinson, Watkins, and Sky Moore. Jordan Watkins is the rookie that has showed the most promise. The young wide receiver has showed the most promise right out the gates. He had a spectacular play in the preseason. He's just checked every box. There's no reason that Jacob Cowing should make this roster ahead of him. There's clearly no reason that Bergen should make this roster at all, specifically not ahead of Jordan Watkins. So I think Pearsall, Jennings, Ayuk, Robinson, Watkins, those are your 5 wide receivers. And Sky Moore makes the team because he's going to be your last wide receiver, and then he's going to be your punt and kick returner, your primary punt and kick returner, and potentially Garendo back there returning kicks as well. But they may have to find somebody else to do that because he had too many fumbles. So I don't think there's a lot of controversy there. The only issue is we're going to have some guys that we're going to have to put on practice squad that are going to have to play early. The one thing to remember here is the appeal with Demarcus Robinson. So I could be wrong here. I think the way that it works is you're allowed to play while your suspension is under appeal. So if Demarcus Robinson, if his appeal takes 6 weeks, he actually might play the first 2 or 3 games. And then, so we might start the season with Pearsall, Jennings, and Demarcus Robinson as our 3 wide receivers, with Watkins and Sky Moore spelling them, and Ayuk on short-term IR. Or he'd start the season on the PUP list, and he'd come back in week 5. That's the most likely scenario for Brandon Ayuk. So I think that's probably how the wide receiver core goes down, and I'm actually really comfortable. If that's how it happens, I think we're set pretty well at wide receiver. Tight end, I don't think this is complicated either. Kittle, Farrell, Tonjes. Kittle is Kittle. Farrell got paid a bunch of money. He's one of the he's like what the highest free agent we brought in. 3 years, $21 million, $7 million a year. He's not going anywhere. I think Jake Tonjes outplayed Willis, and I also think that it was interesting to me that Tonjes was the backup fullback. He was playing the fullback role before Willis was. So I think it's clear that he's got more versatility. They trust him more as a blocker, especially in space. And so I think he'll get the nod over Willis for that reason. So that's 1, 2, 5 is 7. 6 wide receivers is 13, 14, 15, 16. So that leaves us 9 spots for offensive line because you want 25 on offense, 25 on defense with 3 specialists. 3 specialists, obviously, are going to be a kicker, punter, and your long snapper. We're not going to spend any time talking about that. Moody's going to he's going to be our kicker, and the old guys are going to be at long snapper and punter. Nobody cares. Thomas Morstead, and honestly, I can't even remember long snapper's name right now, and that's exactly how it should be. You should not know the long snapper's name. I should, but the average fan should. So, offensive line. Starters are going to be Trent Williams, Ben Barch, Jake Brendel, Pooney, and McKivitz. Now, there's a chance Ben Barch is not playing left guard. There's a chance that Connor Colby might have beaten him out for that position. But I don't think so. I think that if Ben Barch is healthy, he's the one that goes. I think that the backups are going to be Burford as your swing tackle, which bothers me. It scares me, honestly. Colby and Moss as your backup interior offensive lineman, and Hennessy as your backup center. That also could be Zakel instead of Hennessy. They really like Zakel, but I don't think that either of them played all that well, and I think there's a chance that that Kyle Shanahan just trusts Hennessy more to make the calls. He's a veteran. And so I think he'll get the nod over Zakel, but that definitely could be Zakel. I also, and this is the most important thing, I don't think our swing tackle is on the roster right now. I think they'll probably keep Burford until they have somebody they can replace him with. But I think there's a real chance that our swing tackle is on another team right now and that we won't know who our swing tackle is for another 2 or 3 days. So that's all for the offense. Please leave something down in the comments. Let me know. Do you think this was terrible? Do you think it was awesome? Do you think I totally missed something? Am I leaving somebody off the list? I guess we'll find out because cut day is tomorrow. So let's go over to the defensive side of the ball. So the defensive side of the ball is more muddy, but it's not that much more muddy. I think it's actually pretty straightforward at a couple positions. But there are some intriguing players on the defensive side of the ball who have given themselves an opportunity to make this 53-man roster. And this is the year that if somebody like Sebastian Valdez is going to make the team, this will be the year they do it. So, spoiler alert, I have him making the 53. So defensive end, so the starters are going to be a combination of Mykel Williams and Bryce Huff because Bryce Huff is your pass rusher, Mykel Williams is your run stopper, and then Mykel Williams jumps inside on the pass downs, and you get your NASCAR package, so on and so forth. So I kind of have Williams and Huff as like 1A, 1B, like they're both going to play starters reps, basically. And then Bosa's on the other side, and then Samo is your rotational backup. They may have a couple of guys that they're going to keep on the practice squad, but the one key thing here is I think Yetur Gross-Matos, he just hasn't been able to stay healthy. I think he's like $6 or $8 million against the books, and I just don't think that they're going to pay him that money. He hasn't been able to stay healthy, and he's got all the talent in the world, but that doesn't matter if you're not on the field. So I think they're going to go with Samo. I really do. At defensive tackle, I think that Khalil Davis has probably had the best offseason of any other defensive tackle. There's a real chance that he is the best defensive tackle on the team right now. CJ West probably will be by the end of the season, but I think Khalil Davis is probably the best defensive lineman on the team right now. I think he'll actually start next to CJ West. I think it'll be him and not Jordan Elliott for 2 reasons. One, there's a chance Jordan Elliott gets cut because of his contract. There's a couple of other guys who have played really well and deserve a spot, but I don't think that's not what I have projected, but I think that chance is there, and that one of the guys that I wanted to put on this list is going to end up getting that spot, but I just couldn't pull the trigger. So I think Davis, West, and Elliott I have kind of as the same situation where I think all 3 of them are basically going to get like starter reps. I think CJ, like for instance, CJ West might not technically start. It might start. It might be Kalia Davis and Jordan Elliott, but like literally first series, second series, West is already spelling Jordan Elliott, already spelling Kalia Davis. I think all three of them are going to end up with basically starter reps. And I think the backups are going to be Alfred Collins as he continues to develop. Obviously, he's a really big guy. He's got to keep his pads down. I don't understand. Like, you rep it all the time in practice. Keep your pad that level down. Now, I'm not 6'5", 330 pounds, so I'm just some jerk off over here talking into a microphone in front of his computer. I have no idea how hard it is to actually keep the pads down. But if he could just please keep his pad level down so he doesn't turn into a gate the way we saw from a Javon Kinlaw at times, though he did develop really well later. Well, he developed well later once he got past his injuries and played well for the Jets last year. But I can't get the image out of my head of Javon Kinlaw being moved 8 yards off the line of scrimmage in the NFC Championship game, or maybe it was the Super Bowl. But we just can't have that. We have to have defensive line who can hold the point of attack. I think Alfred Collins is that guy, and I just think he's not there yet. He's playing in a different system where he's not being asked to two gap anymore. And I think that there's potentially an issue there with kind of how quickly he's figuring out which gap he's supposed to take and how he's reading it, things like that. I think that's causing some issues for him. I could be wrong there. But if you just keep his pads down, learn to read his keys, and just hit the gap, I think there's a lot of upside there, but jury's still out on Collins. But he'll make the team, and he'll be one of the key backups. I think Evan Anderson showed this team last year, showed this coaching staff last year that he belongs on this team. I think there's a chance that he actually starts instead of Kalia Davis. I actually think that Evan Anderson really can be that good. He was our best run defender last year, in my opinion. But I think Evan Anderson makes team. And then Sebastian Valdez did too much. If you cut Sebastian Valdez, he will be playing on somebody else's team, and he will be in their rotation, and he will be your nightmare if you have to play him. The 49ers cannot make this mistake. They've got to keep Sebastian Valdez. He is not going to get through waivers. I could be wrong, but anyway. So 10 defensive linemen total. Williams, Huff, Bosa, Samo, Kalia Davis, CJ West, Jordan Elliott, Alfred Collins, Evan Anderson, Sebastian Valdez. That's what I have the defensive line set at. That will change after the initial 53-man roster is set, but I think that's who it is initially. I could also see a guy like they're all so young. Jordan Elliott would be the only one that could do any sort of like a handshake deal. Maybe they go like 3 defensive ends and they do a handshake with one of the veteran defensive ends, maybe. But I just don't think so. Maybe they do something with Bryce Huff where they cut him, have a handshake deal, and they sign him to more money when they sign him back. That would be pretty cool. I don't think they'll do that, but that'd be an interesting way to kind of get him some more money. And if that's what he wants, maybe even lock him down for a couple of years, an extra couple of years. Because I really think that Bryce Huff is going to be a tremendous bookend with Bosa. Please excuse me. So moving on to linebackers. Fred Warner is the best linebacker in football. And it's not because he is this traditional come downhill and thump and hit people and make people. It's because he understands what is happening in offense today better than any other football player currently doing it. He's the best linebacker in football because he's the best coverage linebacker, hands down. He also is very good in the run, even though there's probably 2 or 3 guys in the league that are a little bit better against the run. But he's very, very good in the run. He's exceptional at diagnosing plays. He is the absolute anchor in the middle of that defense, and he's tremendous in coverage. Throwing the ball over the middle is dangerous anytime you throw it anywhere near him. So I think Fred Warner is the best linebacker in football, and I just wanted to say that. D Winters, I made that clear already. I think D Winters is going to have a tremendous season. And I think that Nick Martin will be the third linebacker on the field when we have a third linebacker. His run and hit is tremendous, and I think he's going to have some really impactful plays this season. I think the backups are going to be Tatum Bethune and Curtis Robinson. I think Tatum Bethune has been groomed as Fred Warner's backup for all of last year and going into this year. I'm a diehard Florida State fan. I've watched him his whole career. Tatum Bethune is the real deal at linebacker. He does not have exceptional speed and explosiveness, so it took a while for the game to slow down enough up here before he could play at his full speed. And he has to be playing at his full speed to be effective. He's not one of those guys who has so much extra athleticism that they don't necessarily have to play full speed up here. So Tatum Bethune, I think he's really come a long way. I think he's really taken a next step, and he'll be backing up Fred Warner, and then Curtis Robinson will be backing up the other two spots. But both of those guys are going to be probably mostly interchangeable in all three spots. I think that they will bring back either Gifford or Surratt to the practice squad, and one of those guys will have the handshake deal, where they're a veteran guy, they're a vested veteran, and so I'm not sure if Surratt is. I got to, but I think they're going to bring back one of these guys, and if they can't get him, then they'll probably bring back Blanton, and they'll have a linebacker on their practice squad that they can bring up week to week if they need to with injuries. So it'll be one of those guys on the practice squad. Cornerback, Renardo Green, again, diehard FSU fan. Renardo Green is a sticky press man cover corner. He is a tremendous glove type corner. He can get a little bit lost in space at times. However, it got better throughout the season. And when he has to play off zone, that is probably his biggest weakness in this particular scheme, which is not good because in this scheme, they play a lot of off zone. Him playing poorly early this offseason had me worried because I've seen him play for years. I've seen him play so much better. He's a physical, long, super sticky corner. I think that Robert Saleh is going to use his skill set to their advantage. I think they're going to play way more press this year, even though they're going to play plenty of zone out of a press look. So I think we should look for that. I think that also fits Luter's skill set. Spoiler alert, I have him making the 53 as well. So Renardo Green, Lenore, and probably Stout are going to be your three starters. The problem with the way that this team is structured is we don't have a legitimate outside corner other than Lenore and Renardo Green. Everybody else is a question mark. Seen some good things from Jacob Robinson. I have him making the 53-man roster primarily because I don't think he would make it through waivers. I think he's just done a little bit too much. But there's always that one guy that we think will never make it through rosters, and then they do. Remember, every other team also has a 90-man roster, and they really like their guys. That's why they're on the 90-man roster. So I have obviously Luter, and then there's no way Chase Lucas doesn't make this roster. Not only has he been making plays all offseason, not only has he clearly taken the next step in this defense and been shown a propensity to be a playmaker, I think it's really important to understand that there's a chance he actually might start early and that Stout replaces him later. I also think that he has some special teams versatility, and that's going to bode well for him. So my sixth corner that we're keeping is Lucas. So I've got Renardo Green, John Lenore, Stout, Luter, Robinson, Lucas. Those are my six corners. And to be clear, I'm not sure if I did a recap. For linebacker, I have Fred Warner, Winters, Martin, Bethune, and Robinson as my linebackers. I do think that the 49ers will bring back either Dallas Flowers or Trey Brown to their practice squad. One of those guys might even get called up. They may put somebody on IR and then just sign one of those guys. That absolutely might happen. So at safety, Pinnock, Siegel, Mustafa, Neal. The reason I have Neal and not Grant or Mahoney is because I think Neal was brought in for a special team prowess. I don't think Grant outplayed him as a safety, and I think that Grant is one of those guys, I'm talking about Richie Grant, of course, is one of those guys that you could do a handshake deal with. And so I think that Pinnock and Siegel are going to be your starters. I do not think A.J. Brown is going to make this roster. I think there's a chance A.J. Brown gets traded for a late round pick, but at the same time, why would any team trade for someone that they know he's not going to make this roster? Mustafa will immediately go on IR, and they will bring back either Grant or Mahoney after Mustafa goes on temporary IR. But he has to make the roster first. If they put him on IR now and he doesn't count against the 53, he's done for the year. So you have to put him on IR with the designation to return so he can come back midseason. So that has to be done that way. So that's 3 defensive ends. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I'm sorry, 4 defensive ends and 6 defensive tackles. It's a total of 10 defensive linemen. There's a real chance that one of those defensive tackles doubles as a defensive end. A Valdez, or something. Well, I guess Valdez is really the only one on there that could, but I think there's a chance one of those guys plays like a run down defensive end in a rotation as well. So at middle linebacker, we've got 5. At cornerback, we've got 6. So that's 21. And then we have 4 safeties, which brings us 25. So that's my 53-man roster projection. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you guys think of this video. Please comment, good, bad. Otherwise, I don't care. You're not going to hurt my feelings. I want to know what the viewers expect from this channel. I want to know what the viewers want. What do you want covered? What do you want me to talk about? Is there anything that you feel like there's a hole in the conversation somewhere you'd like me to address? Is there something going on? Any of that stuff, put it in the comments, please. Like, subscribe. Let's grow this thing, and let's continue to bring context to the conversation. Again, my name is Chunderboy. Thank you for joining me. You have a wonderful evening. Good night, ladies and gentlemen.